So I would like to introduce you to Taran Knight. Taran, thank you so much for joining us for Excel 2020. And I wonder if you could just start by telling us a little bit about your role in the performance industry currently.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me as well. So I am an actor. I went to the Manchester School of Theatre and did 3 years there. And currently I've got an agent. I'm with Regan Management. So I do some freelance lecturing, specifically usually focusing in directing or looking at forms of performance such as the Chekhov technique or Meisner or Stanislavskian based methods, and I teach that on a freelance basis as well. I do a lot of kind of other performative things, such as I'm part of a performance poetry group that tours the UK, and so I write my own stuff, and I co-run a company called Northern Nights Production, which has only been running for about a year now. And our first show was Our Kid, which was performed last year at the Greater Manchester Fringe Festival, and was nominated for Best Drama, Best New Writing, Best Acting. Was picked up by another production company that were interested in it, and just applied for Arts Council funding, and was just about to go on tour this year. It's due to go into rehearsals at the start of May for 3 weeks, take a week off, and then go on tour from June, running all the way up to September. Obviously the pandemic has taken that away, but it will be back. And then going on to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival as well. And kind of experiencing lots of forms of performance, theatre. You know, I've performed at the Lowry. I've done pantomimes throughout. I've worked as a presenter as well. So predominantly for the BBC mostly. I used to present on BBC's The One Show, the small segments, which are usually filmed in Manchester. And I co-host a lot of stuff for BBC Radio Manchester now. I entered the competition that they did, which was a New Voices scheme, which ran last year. And I was the runner-up. So a lady won, and she's now a full-time presenter for them, and I was the runner-up, and so I present some stuff and co-host that. So there's that aspect of it. And with that, I've done stuff for kind of like YouTube, various platforms as well. And I do a lot of kind of sketch-based comedy stuff as well. So I work for a company called The Way Day Bible, which predominantly look at footballs and do football skits and sketches. So there's a lot of recording that goes into that. So I am an actor, but I've got my fingers in other pies as well. And I think, as you know, Trey, in this industry, that's what you've kind of got to do.
Great. Okay. And you mentioned briefly that you have an agent. So the students they've kind of proposed some of these questions. So they wanted to know some advice about how to get a good agent, or what you would recommend in terms of getting an agent.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think something that you said was really important there, Trey, was getting a good agent. Not all agents are going to be good, and some agents are good for you, but they're not good for somebody else. And I think that's the way to think about an agency. One thing that I've learned is they will try and do their best for you, but you've got to think about it from a business perspective as well. I know a lot of people that stay with agents longer than they should be and don't take up other opportunity with agents because they feel they should stay with this one, and vice versa. So I always think an agency is a part of your performance. So if you want to go to certain places, then there are certain agents that can take you there. And sometimes it's a step-in scheme as well. And that'll be the same for them. It works both ways. First of all, you've got to get good headshots. Everybody says it, but it's true. You've got to get a headshot that looks like you on a daily basis. You know, I've seen some beautiful headshots of people looking sharp, looking fantastic, and then they walk into the room and they look nothing like their headshot. I've done it myself. Some of my old headshots didn't look like me. I used to have really long hair. I had my headshots, then got all my hair cut off. Wondered why I wasn't getting any work. It's really important that your headshots convey you, but also you've got to think about yourself as a product. So convey what you want to sell. So what do I mean by that? As an actor, what roles are you going to be considered for? What do you want to be considered for? So sometimes that can move through phases with your age or with a certain look or how you come across. If you're my casting, which is obviously, mid-20s to early 30s, white, working class male. So I've got to think about the brackets that I associate with that. Am I a scally? Well, yeah, that's what I get cast for. Or am I a bit of a cheeky chappy as well? So they're the two brackets that it doesn't mean I won't get other work, but you've got to imagine that casting directors are going to see 3,000 CVs. If they're looking for, right, I need a guy who's a scally, who's this, sometimes all they'll do is they'll look at your headshot and they'll go, yep, yeah, yeah. So you need to make sure that you're selling yourself in that role. And that's why I think not only is a good headshot important, but get headshots that show a range of what you can do. If you know that I'm going to be going in for a scally, for example, like I would, chavvy kind of character, or a bit of a cheeky chappy man about town, you need those shots that are kind of hard hitting and give that, but then you need that kind of other aspect of it with a cheeky look as well. So make sure you get them shots in. There's no point of you getting a very classical pose in, however beautiful a shot of you that might be, if that's not what you're going to be cast for. Because they're going to look at that and they're going to go, well, that doesn't look like a scally to me, and that doesn't look like a chavvy or a cheeky chappy. So get a good headshot and get the headshot that sells you for what you want to be. Secondly, get a show reel. Now, I know this can be a catch-22 situation. We all do. Because you might not have done a film. You might not have been on a TV series. When you first start out, none of us have. We're all in that predicament. Some people are lucky. Some people come out of drama school or university. They've got a lot of skill and they go somewhere and they get picked up. It happens. But for 95% of actors, it doesn't. There's that 5%. Some of that's luck. Some of that's skill. Right place at the right time. Whatever that may be. However, you need to put yourself in the best chance to get a good agent and get good work. And that is definitely getting a good show reel. Research show reel companies. If you're not in a short film, if you're not in a TV series, there are so many companies now that go and produce excellent show reels, okay? Meet a few different ones. Find out the one that's best for you. Suggest to them what you want to be cast as, because these companies often will write show reel scenes for you, but they don't know you. So if they write you a scene, for example, Trey, if it's me and you doing a scene together and you have this idea of what you want to be and I have this idea of what I want to be and it's conflicting, and they write a scene and I'm paying for the show reel and you're just in it with me and it suits you better, that's not what you want. So you need to think about what scenes you want and what are going to best represent you. So first of all, get a good show reel, go to these companies, approach them. Look at, a lot of these companies will have examples of their work online. Be brutal. You're going to pay for it. It's going to cost you £150, £200. If you don't like the show reels they're producing, don't use them. Use somebody else. There's enough competition. Speak to the people on the phone. Talk to them. Get an idea of what they want to do. Remember, that show reel and that picture is your go-to. I've seen some amazing actors that I've performed with, even myself, where I've gone, why am I not getting any work? And then my agent's gone to me, well, your show reel's not showing us what you are anymore, or your headshot's not a true representation of you. Those two things are so, so important in the industry, because these days now, there's so many people going for a job that, casting directors that I know pretty well, Jenny Radcliffe at Corrie says if I put a role on for 3 lines in one episode, I get 500 to 1,000 applications through my door. She said, I've got to make a decision on who I whittle it down to 10 people in 3 hours. How am I going to do that? I can't look at them all. So I literally go, that doesn't look like him. He doesn't like a scally. No. Yeah. Watch 20 seconds of his show reel. Yes. That's the other thing. In a show reel, no matter what, some of them will watch your full 2 minutes, but a decision's usually made within 20 to 30 seconds. So the start of your show reel, you want a really strong scene of you, generally, I would say, with somebody else, because they want to see you reacting. Not just you performing, but how you're reacting to the other person on the screen. My agent and a lot of people I know always say, put your strongest scene at the start and at the end, top and tail. Because usually that's what they'll do. They'll look at the first 20 seconds and they'll skip to the end. It's brutal, but it's truth. So make sure you've got powerful scenes at the start, powerful scenes at the end, top and tail. Remember, those two catchment areas are really strong. So get a good show reel, get strong headshots. Don't lie on your spotlight and your casting call pro, because you know what? If they go, you've just qualified, but you've had 25 jobs in the industry, they'll go, how is that possible? And actually, if you've had a really good role, let's say you were on 2 lines on a sitcom on BBC Three, and that's all you've done that year, it doesn't matter. Some of them like that. They look and they go, well, all right, they're not lying, they're truthful. There's a lot of things, I think if you try and put too much in, or you put all your fringe stuff in, think about what you want them to see you as. Look, if you've done a really strong fringe show that's thought of well, that, you know, that's done things, that's won awards, that people know or that people have seen, definitely put it on, 100%. Or if it's something that you've produced yourself as part of a company that's going on. But if you've, you know, had a role in a small fringe show, maybe don't put it on there. You know, it's about making those important choices, because your CV illustrates you. How do you want to be viewed by them? Do you want to be viewed as, I'm a fringe actor that does a bit of work every now and again? Or do you want them to go, well, you know, they might have only had 1 or 2 jobs here or there, but they've always been good jobs. So that means they are castable. Because, you know, what do they say? 80% of the time as an actor, you're unemployed. So they understand that. And people go off and have babies and they have career changes and they come back. So I think honesty is an important aspect. So to get a good agent as well, this is what they look for. They want to see that you've got a professional headshot where they can sell you as a product. They're thinking of you as a person, but also as a product. Okay, look at their books. Who have they got on their books? Okay, if you think, are they a good agent? Are they not a good agent? Who's on their books? Are they working? Are they doing anything you know? Have you seen them in anything? Good ticks. If they've got 400 people on their agency, probably don't go with them, in my opinion, because you want someone that's going to give you a service. You need to work yourself, but they need to work for you. They might get you an audition every now and again, but you need to find that agency that's going to work the best for you. The best way you can do that is, first of all, get good headshots. Secondly, get a strong show reel that sells you. Start to think about yourself as a product. Start to watch films, TV, theatre, and think, where do I fit in? What's my casting? Don't go mental on your casting range. I used to do it. I can play 18 to 36, and they'll just go, no, you can't. You know, we've all been there, but we can't. You have to kind of fit into that bracket of, you know, I'd probably say me now, I'm 32, but I look younger, especially on camera. So I'm probably 21 just. I could play probably 21 to 30. They might cast me slightly older, but they're not going to cast me as 18. I might feel 18 and wish I was 18, but they're not going to cast me as 18. So I think be honest with your casting. But the agents, yeah, that's what they're going to look for. They're going to look for good headshots. They're going to think of you as a product. So you need to have an idea of what you want to be as well. You need a strong show reel. And, you know, if you're putting stuff on, invite them to come and see it. So even if it's at university, agents will go. They can't always go, of course. You know, they're busy people, but, you know, they will go. And if they go and they think, I haven't got anyone on my books like you, or I'm looking for a product like you for this aspect of the market. So when you're looking on agents' books, is there anybody that looks like you? Sounds like you? Is a bit like you? Usually that tells me maybe not go with them because they've already fulfilled that criteria. But I think, yeah, to summarize, they're the kind of most important things of getting an agent, and a good one as well.
Great, thank you. And so you kind of covered this a little bit, but they were asking, what are your best tips for being professional? So, you know, kind of making sure that people want to re-employ you. What would you say are the main things that somebody's looking for when they employ you as an actor?
Well, first of all, they want to know that you can do the role that they've taken you on for. I think always commit 100% to the role. You know, everybody probably says it, but it's so important to make a good impression because, you know, in this industry, I've got multiple jobs just from working with somebody, and it's gone really well. But it's not always been this way. I was a young, silly lad once, and remember being 23, 24, and thought, oh, you know, I've done well, and sometimes not making a good impression. And it took me a few years to repair as I matured, and they realised that I wasn't like that anymore. And you don't want to get painted in that way. So make sure you completely give yourself to the role, really go for it, work hard. Do you know what? You're not going to always meet people that you get on with. You might be in rehearsals where there's a personality clash, but just try your best to get on with those people. Think about it in a professional aspect as if you were to go and work for a solicitor's, how would you conduct yourself? How would you behave yourself? You need to imagine that it's the same environment. Yes, we're in a creative environment, so it's about being open, and it's about using your creative aspects in a different way. But you have to think about how you'd conduct yourself at a normal job and try and bring that to this job, in the sense of be professional, be on time, don't be late, work hard. Now, if they give you a script and they say, right, and you work on that script, and let's say, Trey, me and you do scene 3 today. We've blocked out scene 3. The director calls us back, right, I just want us to go over scene 3. Then he goes, right, we're going to do scene 3 a week on Tuesday, so can I have it learned by then? Make sure it's learned by then. It's really strange because, and, you know, it was drummed into me. The amount of times I go into a rehearsal and we block a scene or, you know, a piece of action, and then we come back and there's always one person who doesn't know it. And I'm like, but, you know, that could really stop you from getting work again. They need to know that they can rely on you and you're being professional. If you're not doing the work outside of rehearsal, then you're not applying yourself to the role. And it sounds simple enough, but it's so important in the industry. They just haven't got the time now, and you won't get a job with them again. And that's such a shame, especially if you get in with a good company, or you're working well with somebody who could open up more avenues for you. Be as professional as you can. Be punctual, be on time, do all the work. Try your best to get on with everybody that's in there. Sometimes you might not get on with everyone. You might not, outside of rehearsal, you might not hang around with each other. You might never go out and socialise. But in that room, just try your best. And be as kind and courteous. Treat others as you want to be treated, in a sense. And remember, if there's a director in place, the director are there for a reason. Of course, put your own suggestions forward. Always do that. But if Trey, you're my director, and you say to me, right, Taran, I need you to think about this. And I go, nah. No, you're wrong. That's not what I do. No, I do it like this. Remember, the director has been put in there for that vision. So I think always work with the director. Take the directions on. If you've got an idea, do you know what? The best directors, if you've got an idea and you suggest it, they'll go, let's try it. But if you're my director and you're asking me to do something and I say, but I don't think that's right, even if you think that's not right, try it anyway, because you might surprise yourself, you know? Listen to the director, take on their notes, and then, you know, you could always try stuff and say, can we try it like this? Or how about I put this impotence on it? Or my thought process is this, or this is my objective that I'm trying to achieve, therefore I should try this. They might go, all right, well, let's try it like that. Now, or you might find a common ground. But remember, the director's in that position for a reason. They've been put there. So listen to their vision as well. So I think, yeah, be professional, work well with the people that are around you, be punctual, do all the work outside. And remember, it is still a job. So treat it as you would do another job as well.
Great, thank you. And I wondered if you could advise, so lots of young people that will be watching this will be thinking about, you know, taking their first steps to maybe get on the career ladder, or at least start their first job. And we know that, you know, people are a bit cautious about being exploited or doing a job for free. Do you have some advice about kind of taking that first step and taking that first job?
Yeah, I mean, when you first start out, yes, you could come straight into a very well-paid role. But I think at the start of your career, once you're building up your CV, or you're trying to be seen by casting directors or agents, I think if you can do a job for free under the right circumstances, then you should do. So, I mean, when I first started out, I looked at what festivals are on. There used to be a lot of good festivals in Manchester. Unfortunately, the funding went, but the 2020 festival was an excellent festival that was seen by everybody. So I knew that, and I thought, well, I'll get a profit share, so I might get £100 out of it. But if I'm doing it around my own time that fits me, and it's a good role, and I know I'm going to get seen, and and you're getting an experience, and it's like anything. It's like football, or it's like music, or it's about staying sharp and practicing. And I think if you find a role that fits you, and you can do it around other commitments, where it might be a profit share, and it's at the start of your career, or you're wanting to get back on track, you can do. I still sometimes now do stuff for free or for a small fee for people that I know I can trust, or I feel like it's going to get seen by the right people. So I think you should never completely shut the doors to it. But the opposite end of the spectrum is if something doesn't feel right, or you go to do a job and somebody's asking you to do something that you're not comfortable with, again, don't do it. I would never take, for example, I would never take a role on where it was a short film, profit share, it's going to go to the festivals. Okay, it's usually a tagline. There's going to be an intimate scene where you're going to need to take your clip. Alarm bells are going for me already. Because, especially with equity guidelines and stuff now, which has come in for even the top line cinema or film, there's certain ways that has to be infiltrated. So, of course, be cautious and think about what they're asking you to do. And if there's something that you're not comfortable with, or alarm bells go, seek advice, ask yourself, Trey, ask me, ask people around you. We've got experience, we can help, but never do anything that you're not comfortable with. But if there is a role in a play or a film that you think can elevate you, it might not be paid, but it fits around your current circumstances, you get on well with the director, you like the script, you don't have to immediately say yes. That's the thing. You could get a script, you could read the script, you could learn a little bit more. Speak to them, ask to speak to them. Because I think if you're asking to talk to these people, if they say, right, I want you to do this role, you're going to play Tom in this film about a drug lord in Manchester, and you go, okay, can you send me the script? Yep. You read the script, you audition for them. Ask them, flip the roles on them. How do you see this? What's it going to be? If you're asking those questions, if it was me and I was doing it, I think these people are professional. These are the people I want to want, because that's what I would do. I would certainly pose the questions. So, ask them, try and see what it is they're trying to get and whether or not that suits you at that time. I do think it's difficult in this industry because, of course, you always want paid work. That's what it's about. But when there isn't a plethora of paid work on, if an opportunity comes your way to keep you fresh and stay active, I'm with Nikki Bolton at Regan Management, and she says to us, look, if you haven't got any work coming in and you get a role and it fits around your circumstances and it means you can get seen by people and you can invite people, you might think, I'm not going to get much money out of this. But if I invite agents, casting directors, that I could then get a better paid role from this. So think about what you can get from it. That would be my advice. But be wary, be conscious, trust your gut instinct. If something says to you it's not right, or something feels strange, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. And, go with your gut. Ask other people's advice, friends, family, Trey, whoever, people in the industry will help you. There's lots of places. British Actors Network on Facebook. There's a few good equity reps on there, equity themselves. There's always people in the industry that have been there, done it, that have experienced it, because we all have, I remember doing a play and a guy going, right, so you're going to drop your pants now? And I was like, what? He said, yeah, you're gonna drop your pants now. And I went, no, I'm not. He was like, yeah, this is the bit where you drop your pants. I was like, I've read this script and there's nowhere in this script that says you to drop my pants. And there's 20 people in this room. I'm not dropping my pants in this room. He's like, yeah, that no, we need that. And I just said, I'm not doing it. And he said, oh, we can't give you the role then. We were already in rehearsal. I was like, okay, fine. You know, I walked out. Something didn't feel right in that moment. There was no discussion of it prior to it. And I remember him sending me a thing 2 days later, we'll cut that bit out, come back. And I thought, no, I'm not going to, because there's no trust there, you know? So I think go with your gut instinct. But, you know, remember that sometimes taking on free work or low paid work, if it works in your favour and you can get something out of it, then do it. Stay fresh, stay sharp.
Great, thank you. So I've got a question here that I think came from our careers advisor. It's a great question. So what's the best mistake that you have ever made?
I think a few years ago, I got to a point where every job I went for, I was getting it. I was performing all the time. I was doing really good theatre. I'd been in the West End. I just got my good agent. I'd been seeing Jenny at Coronation Street, and she was like, we're going to get you on. We'd see you for a big part. We could see you in a small part, but we could see you in a big part. You know, we definitely cast you in a big part. I just started working at the BBC, presenting for them. I was doing loads of voiceover work. Everything was hunky-dory. And I think what I did is kind of go, right, I'm here now. And I made that mistake of resting on my laurels a little bit. And what that meant is that, being brutally honest, is that maybe I wasn't putting in as much effort. And so what happened is I got all this work, and then I was going into auditions and not getting work. And I realised, it took me a bit of reflecting, that the mistake was that I thought I'd reached a point and thought I didn't need to work anymore. But I was still working, but I wasn't working as hard as I did. And that's what got me there. And then to go, oh, well, you know, I'll just work this hard now, and I'll enjoy the social aspect of it, or I'll, you know, I'm seeing more friends, or people are you know, stuff like that. And actually, the mistake for me was that I lost a fair bit of work at that point. I think as well, I had a casting at the Royal Court London. So I was doing workshops with Jim Cartwright. Jim's a really nice bloke. For people that don't know, Jim Cartwright you should definitely read some of his stuff. Road to massive, massive Northern writer. Little Voice, the TV film, well, he wrote the original. Anyway, Jim's is a lovely bloke, and he was doing these workshops, and he was like, you've got a lot of talent, so much there, and we were doing a lot of stuff, and we started to develop a really good friendship. And he was like, you're doing really well, but you need to think about how you can get there. And I started doing his workshop, and I was working hard, and that's when the idea of our kids started coming initially through workshops with Jim. And my agent rang me, and she said, you've got an audition next week in London. I was like, oh, here we go. 90 quid to get to London, you know, that old. And she was like, yeah, the Royal Court have just rang me and asked to see you. And I was like, whoa, the Royal Court. She was like, yeah, they're doing a 20-year anniversary production of Road. They've been on the phone to Jim Cartwright, and Jim Cartwright has said that they've got to see you, so you've got to go there. And I went to London and really went for the first audition. And I remember John Tiffany walking in thinking, oh, John Tiffany, you know, he's just done the Harry Potter play. Oh, and there was this northern working class lad from Yorkshire sat there. And I walked in and I went, all right, pal. He went, hey up, lad. And I thought, here we go. And we hit it off. And they put me through to the next stage. And I thought, I've already got it. Or I'm about there. And I went back in, and I felt like my second audition wasn't as good. And I felt that disappointment when I left. And when they'd whittled it down to 3 of us for Skin Lad, and I didn't get it. And I remember just like being devastated, like at home, and Jim rang me and going, I'm sure you gave it all. And I said, Jim, I felt like I could have worked harder. I felt like because you'd said something, this, that, I thought maybe I was getting there. And I took my foot off the gas a bit, and he went, well, it's a learning curve, mate. It's a learning curve. And, you know, I'm not ashamed to say that I was really upset. You know, I mean, I cried pretty much for about 2 days solid. But it made me realise that never rest on your laurels. you know, always try and work as hard as you can, and never think because I'm here, that's it now. Because in this industry, you can go from there to there pretty quickly, and you need to continuously work hard to get there. A good friend of mine called Amy Forrest, who's on my agency, she's a really, really hard-working actor, incredibly hard-working actor, actually. Always writing to people, always contacting people, always looking for the next work. And for ages, she was getting bits here, bits there. And then a year and a half ago, she managed to get on at the National Theatre, and she did 6 months doing Small Island. And she then got a part on, well, she's always had a little small part as a copper on Corrie, and then she went on to do the Welsh play about the riots, the mould riots back in the day, and then got picked up to go on the National again this year. She's supposed to be 6 months again at the National this year. Obviously, it's all gone a bit bad, and she got a part in Call the Midwife. So it just all came, and that was productive. But for Amy, that's years of hard work, and I think all my times when I've managed to get there is all this hard work you're doing in the background. You might think it's not getting you anywhere, but it will do. But on the flip side, the mistake that I made is I took my foot off the gas and thought, here I am. And, you know, you just got to keep at it.
Great. Okay, just probably the last question for you, Taran, but what would you say is the best and the worst part of your job as an actor?
The best part of the job is that when I'm performing or in rehearsals, I feel like that's when my true self comes through. I feel like when I'm not performing or I'm not rehearsing or I'm not doing something creative, I'm not fully me. And so I think that's how people really see me for who I am and what I am. And when I'm in a rehearsal room, I come alive. I wake up every day happy. I'm like, yep, here we go. And I'm cracking jokes and I'm working hard and there's a lot of banter, you know, and there's a lot of like positive connections that are going on. And I think when I come into a rehearsal room, what I try and do is work as hard as I can, but bring a breath of fresh air. I feel like I'm on my best A game. So when I go into rehearsal, I'm so happy that I can just have a laugh with people. And that sometimes, you know, it's like in a rehearsal room, you've got a day where you've got some hefty scenes. The scenes have not been going really well. You're trying to find that connection, and there's you and there's someone there, or there's a group scene, and it's like, try that again. No, this is not happening. It can kind of get you. And I think if you can bring that into the room, that's amazing. So I think that's the most positive aspect for me is it makes me feel alive and I'm like myself when I'm performing. The negative side of the job is I find it hard when you're not working. And I think we have to be honest with each other and say that sometimes you're not going to work, and sometimes you're going to have periods where you're going to be auditioning and you're going to think, I give a really good audition, or, you know, you keep getting these auditions and you keep not getting work, and you start to question yourself and you go, is this what I want to do? Am I not good enough? And you have to have self-belief. And there will be times when you question yourself, as I have done, and you ask yourself, but that's when it's important to stick to working hard in the times where you're down, because there will be a moment that will come up to lift yourself out of it. And you know, it's kind of like that. Some, you know, not for everybody, of course. Some people come out, get a job, boom, that's it. But, you know, I worked at an actors call centre in Manchester called RSVP just before it shut down. And there's a lad in there called Ollie Mellor, who was in Coronation Street for 8 years, played the Doctor in Coronation Street, dated Michelle Keegan, the lucky man, in Coronation Street. He was in Doctor Who. He had a booming career, and then one day couldn't get a job for about 2 years. So it happens to everybody, you know. But there are going to be times where you're probably going to feel a bit down, and you're going to feel like, you know, I'm not getting the work, or I'm not where I want to be. But it's about reevaluating and thinking, how can I get there? What do I need to change? What can I do differently? And it's a continuous learning curve, this industry and this job. And it's not easy. It's not an easy job. But I think, unfortunately, if it was, everybody would be doing it, you know? It's about how committed to it are you, how much do you want it, and how passionate you are. If you wake up in the morning and that's what gets you out of bed, or like me, if you know that when you're performing for an audience or you're in a rehearsal room, that's when you're really alive, contain that and think that's what I'm working to achieve. And I think we've got such a powerful thing now where I didn't always have it when I was young, but we've now got the internet. You know, this pandemic, how many people are you seeing creating stuff now and putting things online? And I think I try and do it when I'm thinking, right, I've got no work on, I've got no rehearsals. What can I do to stay sharp? Can I write a monologue and put it online? Can I do a sketch? Can I try this? And do you know what part of it is that, and myself included sometimes, is that scared of failure, of like, oh, but if I put it online and it's badly received, or if people slate it, then, you know, but, you know, how do you get better? What do you learn most from? Do you learn most from the time you went out and gave a stellar performance and everybody stood and applauded you? Or do you learn most from when you went on stage, underprepared, or you did something and you tried something that didn't work? I would say the second one. Failure is a part of success. You have to fail sometimes in order to be successful. And I think some of the best performers, or some of the most successful ones, are the ones where they have failed, but then it's worked for them, because it's such a learning curve. Even if you look at somebody like, my favourite actor of all time was Robin Williams. He was an absolutely outstanding, beautiful performer. So funny. Watch some of his films. Some of the films he was in are terrible. But he said, I did it for the money. And I felt in those terrible films, that's what made me the genie. That's what made me Good Morning Vietnam. You know, that's what made me Mrs. Doubtfire. Because I took aspects of that onto the next role. And I think that's what we've got to do, is we've got to fail to succeed. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Brilliant. That was a great way to end. Thank you very much, Taran. So hopefully, if it's not happened already, Taran's running a workshop on Friday, 10 o'clock. So if you want to drop in and learn some more from him, then you could do that. That would be great. But thank you very much for your time, Taran. That was brilliant.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.